Hello and welcome to episode 34 of the Golden Boots podcast. This is your host, Jorge Gonzalez. Our podcast is all about soccer, all things soccer. We love soccer. For episode 34, we have Hugh Roberts II here. Hugh is originally from the Maryland area. He went and played collegiate soccer at George Mason for 4 years and now is currently here at Charlotte Independence. Hugh, my man, how are you today?
I'm good, my man. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I mean, it's been great so far, man. It's September. We're getting close to the end of the year, man. Anything you're excited about?
Yeah, playoffs is coming around the corner.
Yeah, man. They're close.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you guys are fighting tooth and nail for it, man.
Yep,
I love it, man.
This is a tough group. I mean, out of the 8 teams, 6 of them made playoffs last year, in a tough group as well, too. So it's literally fluctuating every single week. It's crazy, but
it's exciting out there. So if you guys haven't gotten a chance to go out to an Independence game, highly recommend it. So, Hugh, our podcast, we like to bring on different people, kind of get to know their backgrounds, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. So I'm half Jamaican. I was born in Queens, New York.
Okay.
Up there, it's a big culture with soccer. It's really like a heavy basketball influence.
Yeah.
So growing up, I actually played 2 sports, basketball and soccer my whole life. My mom was a basketball, my dad was a soccer.
Okay.
But my dad played at NC State, played semi-pro, so really I was like a little ball boy, always running around with him, grabbing a ball, kicking with him. That's how I started getting the love for the game.
Be real with us. Were you good at basketball too?
Yeah, I actually played my whole life. Went to high school for basketball, not even for soccer. And did the whole AAU thing, traveling to Vegas, all that stuff too.
Okay.
It's a crazy experience.
Dang, bro.
Yeah, man.
So, if it wasn't Independence, you'd be at the Hornets now then.
Maybe, right? Exactly. But yeah, so I really just started playing rec soccer. My dad just put together a team with some local guys. From there, kind of that same club team ended up being Academy. So we were Potomac Academy, which is now the Bethesda Academy in Maryland.
Okay.
Went to a couple of showcases, ended up getting recruited at George Mason.
Okay.
And being 6'4" in soccer is a little different than being 6'4" in basketball
yeah.
too. You know? So I was like, let me take my advantage in soccer a little bit. I was actually a striker my whole life.
Interesting. Okay.
Recruited as a striker into George Mason my freshman year as a striker. And then my sophomore year, they moved me to center back / like the 6.
Okay.
So I played the 6 some and center back my sophomore year, and then like junior, senior year, I was like solidified as a center back.
Oh, that's dope, man. So you have experience in both.
Low key.
Yeah, everywhere,
Low key,
man.
Everywhere, right? Things happen for a reason.
So future goalkeeper too then?
Played goalkeeper in State Cup.
Did you?
So I've literally played everywhere. Like one of my college debut was probably at right back, I think, too.
Okay.
The kid was struggling. He's a Q go in. It's like, all right, here we are.
That's awesome, man. Everywhere on the field. Nice.
Right. It's helped me in a lot of ways, you know. My debut as a pro was actually as a 6 because I knew how to play the 6 because of college. So sometimes I tell kids, like, I know it's upsetting you're getting your position changed because you loved it, but you're trying to play and you want to be on that field too, you know? So
that's good mindset,
be
man.
Adaptable.
Yeah. Would you rather be a striker on the bench or, like a midfielder playing in the 11 every week, right?
And sometimes because you play as a striker, for example, for me, because I played as a striker, it helped me excel as a center back because I can read the cues and I know exactly the movements. I know, a lot of these things that you're going to do as a striker because I did that my whole life. Yeah. So I think that's really helped me in this 8-year career as a pro that I've had so far.
Nice. Awesome. So talk to us first about like that when you went from just being recruited to go into George Mason. What was that process like?
Yeah, so in high school, if you're on an academy team, I was on an academy team. You usually go to like a couple showcases in Florida, maybe one in Texas, or a couple other areas as well too. Those showcases really like college are recruiting you at every single game. There's like hundreds of colleges right around the field with their little clipboards recruiting you kind of thing. After that, they reach out to your coach and they express interest a little bit. Then you do like your official visits and your visits and stuff. You might even, I went to a couple like college camps. I went to Providence University, George Mason's camp. Okay. A couple other local schools. And then,
How do you prep for that as a player? Like, I feel like some people would get nervous. Some people are getting excited. Some people, the Cristiano Ronaldos of the world don't care. They're just going to go out there and show out.
Right. It's tough. I'm not going to lie. So, for example, for the Providence camp, they called me like 2 days before the camp. Was like, hey, we need you in Rhode Island. Can you come up here? So I was like, whatever, man. My dad drove me all the way up there by myself, and I was late. I was a day late to the camp, so all the kids had their friends already. I was literally in a dorm room by myself and stuff. Wow. What helped me, honestly, like, you have to have something that drives you and pushes you. So my goal since I've been a little boy was like to help my family, was to help my extended family, was to, be able to provide and give back, kind of why it speaks to what I'm doing now. But that fueled me as a young kid. So I remember literally sitting there in high school in these college dorms, getting ready for these college opportunities, just listening to music, just hyping myself up. Like, like, yes, I'm anxious and I'm nervous, but that anxiety kind of goes away as soon as I step on the field. Now I'm a competitor, and like I said, I'm determined
awesome.
because I have a big goal.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, like no matter what, even if I mess up in that play, Hugh, let's go. Like you have bigger goals and bigger dreams to reach, kind of thing. So that's really what fueled me even to this day. Still got big goals now.
I love that, bro. It sounds like you had a good understanding of your why when you were first young, man. I think that's very important. A lot of people don't see that. Some people just see it as a pastime, right?
Completely agree.
The more you understand the why behind what you're doing, the more purposeful it will be, right?
For sure, 100%. And it's gonna, without even thinking. Sometimes it's gonna fuel you without even knowing. And it started as my family for me, and it started like with the movement last year for like black people in general in this game, because there's not too many black people in this game.
Yeah.
And then it's also like still my extended family in Jamaica. There's a lot of little things, but they all kind of transpire into one another, and just help fuel me and even create something like backyard footy for myself.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I want to get into that a little bit later too on the podcast. First, tell us about that experience playing in college. What was that like? How did the level of competition change for you?
Yeah, so I mean, you're in high school, you're the best player on your team. That's why you're going to college pretty much. But then you get there and you're not the worst, but like you have seniors, juniors, who are all balling. I was there as a freshman as a striker. The striker at the time was the first round draft pick for the MLS, Victor Freeman.
Wow.
Like, he was really good, but he was like a big brother to me and helped groom me and stuff. But the college game is very fast and it's very physical, very physical. A lot of games, sometimes you don't even play like proper soccer. You're just battling out there on the field, long balls. And just like, yeah. So like, I know a bunch of players who are technical and real, crafty, but then you kind of lose that because the game is it's very athletic, shoulder to shoulder tackles, long balls, fighting in the air. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes don't get me wrong, the good teams like the UCLAs, the Marylands, some of the other top teams, Georgetown maybe like to play good soccer playing out the back, but majority, especially the major conferences like I went to, George Mason, you're really fighting a lot of the time. So it took me.
It's good that you're so tall then, man.
Right. Help me. And just in general though, just the strength, I had to get used to the strength and the speed of play. Like guys are, I thought I was fast, but guys are, of course, they're seniors, juniors, so they're blowing past me. You get a ball easily in the air. I'm tall. Guy jumps over you, wins an air ball. You're like, man, like I got to step my game up. Even a kid smaller than you, still kind of bodying you and pushing you off the ball. Or like the game is so fast, they're just pressing you like crazy, and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. It's high school ball. I just grab the ball and just go and do whatever I want. And now I'm on the field and like I have to play and one touch, two. I didn't learn anything about one touch, two. I'm like, oh man, like what do I do? So yeah.
How did you take that, man? Because I feel like that makes a lot of players shy away. So like, what's the mentality there like?
I would say be humble with a lot of things. Be humble in a sense where you're willing to learn. Like I'm still willing to learn to this day, and which is very important because you get to a point where you like, oh, I just know everything. I don't need to listen. But every day you can increase your game and your abilities too. So back then, especially when I switched to a center back, I've never played center back in my life. I had no idea what to do. So I'm asking questions of the older seniors like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? Spending time after practice with the assistant coach, working on my center back abilities. Even now, as soon as I touch the pro, I'm playing with guys who play center back their whole lives. They're getting drafted. They're national team members. I'm like, man, like I'm nowhere near that level. But it's either yes, you can work on your own, but, pick people's brains sometimes. Be humble, ask them questions. They're going to give you feedback most of the time. They're going to, they're willing to help you out. And I'm like a sponge. I absorbed everything, and that kind of just elevated my game.
That is amazing mindset, man, because I feel like, especially in soccer, people get egos. You might have been a baller somewhere else, but now, like, you got to humble yourself and, okay, like, I'm around more ballers. Right? And I think, like, in general, when you talk to most people, they're willing to give you advice and help you out. Like, I feel like there's this perception where, like, someone's going to, like, think lower of you because you're asking for help, when in reality, most people, like, if you ask them, they'll share, right?
Exactly. Most people are scared to ask, and so why you never ask. But 9 times out of 10, exactly what you're saying. Even the biggest guy, like Fuchs, for example. Yes, I just play with him now. But even if I was with him back then, I'm sure, as humble as I was, I would have no problem just going up to him, asking him for advice and stuff. And yes, you're thinking, oh, this guy, he's a big man, he's not gonna talk to me. But like, these guys we're humans. Like they're cool people. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
like,
yeah. What's been the best advice someone gave you as a center back?
Best advice? That's a good question. I would say one of the best advice for me, 2 things, was to keep it real simple. as center back, we're not playmakers. Yes, we can be playmakers, long balls, through balls, breaking the lines kind of thing. But our job is not a midfielder's job.
Yeah.
So we're there to, make their jobs easy, and we're not really the ones that, supposed to hold the ball the whole time and, be the ones that play the striker and the nine. Like, no, we have a role, know your role, keep it simple. And secondly, for me, it was just like check your shoulders. And sometimes we get, especially the center back, can get so focused here, but then a runner's coming behind me, a runner's checking in. I'm like, all I had to do was check to my left or right. But it also helped me on the ball because when I first started playing, I was on the right side. And I used to be so focused on the right only, where a guy would press me on my left, and I would have no idea, and then I just had to clear it. But as I got older, I started checking my shoulders. Even if he came, I just take a touch of my left, play with my right to the other center mid, and we're out, all because I checked my shoulders. Or if he's coming on my right side, he's about to press me, if I just check real quick and I know he's coming, I could just flick to somebody or just play out instead of, panicking. A lot of times when you don't know what to do or you don't check your shoulders or something, you panic.
Yeah.
That's when anxiety comes. You're like, oh, crap, oh, man. But if you, check your shoulders, know what you're going to do before the ball even comes to you, it helps calm you down. And sometimes you look like a genius out there, but all you really do is just check your shoulder. And you know.
You're like, man, that Hugh, he knows what he's doing.
Just check my shoulder real quick and just knew.
Yeah. But I think that's important too, because sometimes you grow into things, right? Like, you're not going to go out there and be a baller all the time, right? Like, some things will help you boost your confidence. Some things might break it down a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, you just have to continue, right? Whether you're really high or really low, you just have to keep going.
Keep going. Trust me, that motto is really what got me. Even the mistakes are good too. You don't want to make, especially as a center back, if I make a mistake, it's a goal.
Yeah.
My early three, I've never given up an own goal in my life. I gave up 2 in Richmond, just random deflections off my knee into the goal and stuff. And those things can put you down, but it's either you keep beating yourself down, or do you use that as fuel and push you and motivate you? So I've learned from a lot of those mistakes because I'm such a competitor, I'm like, I'll be damn if I do that again. I'll make sure I never do that again. But it's been a good thing where it's like, oh, wow, I've never been in that situation. That was a bad mistake. Okay, Hugh, now never play that again.
Yeah.
It's helped me in my game, too.
I love that, man, because that's exactly how you have to take things, not only in soccer, but in life, right?
Yep.
Right? You make mistakes, okay? You can sit there and cry about it. And you know what? To an extent, it's okay if, you feel sorry for yourself a day or two.
Of course.
But, you can't just live in that fear, live in that mistake. You have to move on, right? Because the world's going to move on with or without you, right? What was your biggest takeaway from your time in university?
Managing your lifestyle. Seriously, I'm being very serious with that. We were the 13th ranked recruiting class coming in at Mason. 3 guys in the U17 national team. Even after me, guys in the U17 national team. I'm the only one that's playing pro. And at that time, I would have never, ever, I wanted to be pro, but these guys were way better than me at the time. I was like, oh, yeah, my homies are going to get there. MLS, all these national team opportunities, but way before me. But none of them are playing. It's not necessarily because of their abilities at all. College is a whole animal within itself. You go from high school with your parents to now you have all this freedom, so you have to manage your school on your own. You got to get to class. As an athlete, you got to maintain a 2.0 or 2.5 GPAs depending on your school.
Yeah.
So you're on top of yourself, no family members. You got training every day, and it's just you're not going home to your parents and crying and venting. You're going back to your boys, or either you're going back by yourself to the dorm room. And even that's a little touchy thing too, because you're not necessarily going to vent to a guy who's competing with you as a freshman.
That's a good point, man. I didn't think about that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's even as a pro too. You can only vent to certain people.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants your spot. So a lot of things you have to internalize and, either use that to fuel you and motivate you, or, maybe talk to an assistant coach or something. But not just on top of that, but the biggest thing for me was the lifestyle of college within the stuff, the party and the hanging out.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes, not even at Mason, West Virginia, the bigger football schools, so many talented kids, I can't even begin to tell you, that just gets caught up in the lifestyle of just partying all the time. And I did my fair share. But at the end of the day, what are your goals and what are you trying to achieve?
Exactly.
And so
if soccer's just a pastime for you, bro, albeit go have a great time.
Right.
But if your goal is the professional aspect, you've got to make changes, right? Can you think of some specifics?
Yeah. So for me, as I got older, I changed my life. You're a freshman in college. You're having this freedom, so you go crazy a little bit, and you're hanging out and taking advantage of these things. But as I got older and I'm trying to get more focused and get ready for a pro lifestyle, it's all right, well, I'm no longer going out Wednesdays, Thursdays, Friday. Maybe I'm just going out only on Saturdays after the game. Or maybe some nights as a senior, I was like, man, we could just have a kickback at our house. We had a soccer house. So kick back at our house and just cool and be low key.
Yeah.
You start to I personally, I'm not saying this is for every senior, but I start to slow down things a lot and just prepare. And at the end of the day, no matter what year you are in school, if soccer's your main thing, go ahead, party and hang out and do your thing. But you better be sure you're ready for practice in the morning. And trust me, like I woke up hungover plenty of times, but I'm a competitor and I'm determined to get, become a pro. That I'd be damned if I let my performance hurt me in training. So,
100%,
I kind of pushed through those moments, but then as I got older, I just, found more of a balance and slowed those things down.
Yeah.
So.
And it's good that you point that out, because it's not like you go in and like, okay, like you cut everything off and you become, some people are good with that. Some people have to learn. Some people have to have, every 3 or like I know people that will have a work ethic that can work and work and never stop. And I know people that can work for 3-4 months, need 4 or 5 days off to get recharged. It's okay, right? It's all depending on you, which I think is the most important thing, right?
You have to find yourself too. There's a lot of you're
that's
young,
good right there.
You don't even know about yourself, if that makes sense. Like I really didn't know.
Now that we're like I'm 28, so like
Me
like
too.
Okay, perfect.
I didn't know my tolerance. I didn't know like my routine when I wake up in the morning, breakfast, water, all these things. I'm just young, like wake up, go, train, no fluid, just get up and go and just run, stretching, barely stretching, doing these little things. It's like, who cares? I'm young, I'm just having fun, and my boys is up, like we're up. But it catches up to you. It definitely catches up to you, and then you start to see little things, but kind of just changed my perspective and helped me get to where I am now.
Nice. I love that, man. Solid things you just talked about.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. So tell us your transition then from George Mason to playing professionally.
Yeah, man. So I didn't get drafted or anything. Every year they put like an MLS draft board, just like NBA or NFL or anything. I was 99 out of 100, second to last one. It was just cool for me to see my name on the list. I knew I wasn't gonna get drafted or anything. So after that, it was about me and 4 of the boys out of the 9 seniors. We wanted to be pro. So we drove from George Mason, which is outside DC, all the way down to Florida for like an info sport combine. Waste of time, waste of money, whatever.
What do you mean? Why was it a waste?
We get there, they're supposed to tell you all these recruits are there. You're going to get a report card, evaluating, hear from them after. Yes, there were some coaches there. We got there, we played a couple of games, never heard from them again. No report card, no evaluation.
Really?
They just took our money, gave us one little T-shirt, and that was that. And we never heard from them again. And I thought I did really well. I had an assist as a center back, too. I took the ball and drove all the way up.
Can't wait to see my report card.
I'm telling you. All these at least USL, like scouts gonna be hitting me up, all this stuff. Nothing.
Damn.
And I'm in school at the same time. This is my senior last semester. Yeah. So
and it's not like you're balling in money to make this investment, right?
I'm telling you. So had a budget for that. None of us, just out of 4 of us, none of us make it and pan out. One decides to go to the overseas route. One decides to drop out and just stop and just use his degree. So it's only me and this other guy left. Mm-hmm. We go to Rochester, New York for the Rochester Rhinos tryout for 3 days. Bob Lilly ended up getting cut out there too. We drove back down. Me and my boy drove back to D.C. We drove to Harrisburg City Islanders at the time. 8 weeks in a row. They only had practices on Monday night. So we drove there every Monday for 8 weeks in a row. And after the 7th, 8th week, it's 2.5 hours from Mason. We looked at each other like, yo, coach, like this is money and gas every time we come out here. Like, what's up? I'm sure you know already. I think you guys should look elsewhere. Like, thank you for your time. So my last tryout was with the Richmond Kickers, and I was like, they're local, only an hour and a half away. It's going to be kind of like my last shot. As actually, Charlotte Eagles hit me up after my tryout with the Kickers. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of looking at the Eagles too, but they told me straight up, like, they don't really have any money. If I have anywhere else, you should look at that. So I'll go to Richmond, open tryout again. I did well those 2 days. He invites me to actual training with the first team the following week. So I trained with the first team for 2 weeks. I wasn't under contract, wasn't signed. It was like another extended trial.
Yeah.
Played against Mason in the preseason scrimmage, which was great. But I played for Mason against Richmond. There's a lot of mental battles.
It is, man. Especially, like just going back to those trips that you were making. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're driving every Monday, man. Why? Mm-hmm. Because you're chasing a dream. Mm-hmm. And that's where, like, I think that's what the things that have to pull you the most, right? Like, because those are everybody in life has those moments, right? And it's how you react. Because it would have been easy for you to quit after that.
100%. I was going to get my degree anyways, and that's frustrating as those things were. Florida, Rochester, and Harrisburg not making it.
Exactly.
It definitely takes a mental toll. But like I said, the underlying message, like, I'm kind of more determined than these failures kind of thing. And I love that, man. I know I can do this, Like, I see also fuels me is like seeing other players that you play against or like know that gets opportunities. It's just like, they're good. I'm good. I know I can do this too. Like, come on.
Love that, bro.
So I get to Richmond, go there for 2 days, open trial, ball out in those 2 days. It's really like maybe like 10 guys are actually like decent. Me and 3 other guys get invited to the first team training, train with them for 2 weeks. After the second week, I'm like, listen, like I'm commuting back from school doing classes. So I'm training in the morning at 10 o'clock, finish around 10:30, 11, drive from Richmond back to Nova, which is outside DC, hour and a half, 2 hours, have class from 1 to 7. Sleep at the house, drive back down to Richmond. So I'm doing this like 3-4 times a week. After the second week, I was like, hey, coach, like, do you have an idea? And he's like, yeah, we like you, but if you have another opportunity, you should go to it, which was like the Eagles. And like, I told him, I was like, listen, straight up, the Eagles just told me they don't have any money. I should go look elsewhere. I'll never forget this phone call because I was on campus with my boys too. So he pondered on the phone a little bit. And he's like, all right, like, we're going to offer you. We're going to take you. You know, congratulations, everything. Of course, I was happy to sign my first pro contract. Awesome. It's a dream come true kind of thing. But those first 2 years specifically was a whole.
Yeah, bro.
I knew nothing about soccer. I'll be completely honest with you. You think, and that's
what do you mean by that? Explain that.
So the college game, as I said before, is very athletic.
Yeah.
But I was never taught to play one touch, two touch. I was never taught. Especially the one touch, you know, as a center back, the ball can come across, just play one touch to a center mid. I'm doing everything in 2 or 3 touches. Or if I'm under pressure, I'm trying to dribble out of the back. Instead of just knowing my options, I can just play the right back or get the ball, just play my keeper. Like, I didn't really know the game in that sense. I just knew to compete, to battle, to work hard, shut out goals, block crosses, block shots, and just like win the ball and just give it to a midfielder. I did my job. But there's so much more to that. It's an intricate game, you know? So in Richmond,
it's like playing chess a little bit.
I love chess, so exactly like chess. Richmond, my rookie year specifically, he's actually like trying to play me as a right center back to our veteran left center back. He's trying to play me in practice. And I remember the first couple months, I'd get the ball, take a touch, forward, come press me. I'm losing the ball every time. And another thing is, too, you don't even realize another mental thing is like, I'm on my own now. I had 8 boys, all my boys back in college, but now I'm the only pro. So now I'm coming home by myself. And it's not like I'm going home in college, yo, and my boys like, coach is trash. I hate these players. Like, now I'm going home and like I'm tearing up by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm frustrated to myself. I'm like, Hugh, like, I know this isn't you. Like, what is going on? So I literally sat on my couch. When I'm watching TV, I'm never really watching TV. I'm just in my head.
Yeah.
Thinking. So I'm just thinking, like, how do I play faster? What's going on? Had a eureka moment. It's like, why not when the ball comes across, instead of taking a touch every time and playing it, ball comes across, one time into the guy. Practice the next day, ball come across, forwards pressing me. I just one touch to the center mid, boom, gave me the idea in my head. Never forget that moment, and I still take that with me to this day. But I had a lot of growing pains in Richmond, especially because I just didn't know. Ball goes to the center, and you got to move to the right a little bit to receive the ball next. Right back gets the ball. You got to drop deeper to receive the ball. Like, I knew none of that stuff coming out of college. So my coach, Lee Calishaw, was like a Hall of Famer at Richmond. Yeah. Great coach, but he was actually like a hard ass on you too. So he's like, in a good way. Pressure makes diamonds. So I would never complain about it. But he was just like, Hugh, come here. Get the ball. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. That's all you got to do. So, but I'm someone coming from the basketball. Everyone's yelling at you and stuff. Like, some people can't handle that, but I can handle that. And actually, like, I took it and I was like, all right, cool. Let me do that. Let me listen to coach and just raise my level. And then slowly over the years, you know, it helped me transpire to 2016 when I was like a Defender of the Year finalist. But like, all those things came from like the growing pains that I went through my first 2 years.
Exactly,
there,
man.
You know?
I mean, all these tests are just preparation for something bigger, man.
Oh, amen to that. You know? That's why I do this now. Seriously. Been doing this for 8 years.
Yeah, man.
After Richmond, I go to Philly, Pittsburgh, Charlotte now too, and it's been a whole different coaches, and that's another battle. You're dealing with all these different coaches, all these different playing styles. How do you adjust to that? How do you adapt to that, right? A lot of players get caught up in that and they can't even pan out because you're a one-dimensional player, but because of the versatility of playing 6, center back, striker, forward, you know what I'm saying? I was able to find my area on the field too, and it just helped me out, man. So completely agree to everything that you're saying. I
love that, man. Especially, not that I love all the things that you went through, but I love highlighting that, like, some people look at it and they're like, oh, like, he's playing, he's made it, it's good, like, he had it easy. Trust Bro, me. You have no idea how difficult it is. I don't care what you do in terms of success. If you've achieved a high level, because I mean, playing is what, like less than 1% of people make it pro. like playing at that high level takes sacrifice, takes work ethic, and it takes a mentality that like sometimes you don't even know that you have, correct?
Correct. Completely agree with that. And I mean, even just the mentality and everything you were speaking to before, like those instances that I went through kind of made my mentality and gave me like a callus or like a thick skin kind of thing too, you know? And those moments, nobody wants to go through them, but you need them to kind of make you a better person and a player too. So,
yeah, it's cool too because like you remember specific situations that have led to now, right? Like this happened years ago, but that was such a defining moment, right?
Seriously, that was 2014. I'm a rookie in the league. I'm sitting on my couch after I didn't make my debut until May. So imagine from like February, March, April, all these months I'm training but not even playing. 'Cause yes, I'm a rookie. But I had to go through those times because I wasn't the best on the ball yet. I didn't know how to, the passing lanes, all these things yet. Coach put me on the field. Like, yes, it's good for me, but like it probably would have hurt the team a little bit because I wasn't prepared yet.
Yeah.
So I had to take those 2.5 months to actually prepare and get better.
But you know what? Like you took that opportunity and thrived with it, right? Like I think people get scared of that too. Oh, like they start looking around. This guy's better than me at X, Y, Z, bro. It doesn't matter, dude.
Right.
Go try your best. Do your best. That's all you can do, bro.
Exactly.
Would you rather be 85 and regret what you didn't do, or would you rather say, you know what, at least I tried even if I failed?
Right.
That's kind of my mentality. You know what I'm saying?
That's how it should be. That's because sometimes when you try those things, another opportunities come because you try something. Like
that's
yes,
so
you didn't
good.
make it, but then like for me, for example, if I didn't like make one of these next teams, but then I have Backyard Footy comes out because of me following my passion. Then I get another job, and Backyard Footy becomes like a big company or something. Like it's because I pursue my dreams sometimes.
100%, bro.
You never know until you try certain things.
Love that, man.
Never know.
Tell us so far about playing at Charlotte Independence. You've been here 3 years now?
3 years now.
3 years now, man. What's tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a whole little whirlwind, to be honest. So my first year when I came here, Jim McGinnis was actually the coach, not Mike Jeffries. So when McGinnis came, he brought in like 15 guys that were his guys. Mike already recruited 12 to 15 of his own guys. So it was two different locker rooms collided from the jump when I first came here. And people don't even realize we only won one game out of 15, the first 15 games when Jim McGinnis was on.
Really?
Yeah, 1 out of 15 when he was there as a coach. But it wasn't because of the talent. That was the second most talented team I've ever been on. This year is the first. But that was the second most talented. And again, it's not because we weren't good enough. It's just the playing style, the way he wanted people to play. So it went from there. Then Mike Jeffries came back, and it turned around some. But again, the locker room was split. So a lot of guys there were fights, guys bumping heads. Even with McGinnis, Mike's guys would bump heads with McGinnis guys, or Mike's guys would bump heads with McGinnis himself, and it was just a whirlwind. But that was also a good experience for me too, because that was the first time I ever saw a coach in the USL get fired halfway through. Saw a whole transition of a mindset. Mike came in that day. First day he comes in and was like, we're just going to play. Breath of fresh air to everybody. And we went on an 8-game unbeaten streak right after that. Last year was interesting because of the whole COVID year. Only 16 games. But it was cool to do like a little group play. You know, you play only 4 teams in a group. You play them 4 times, and you bounce around the other out of conference in your group. It was a little headache playing the same team 4 times, not going to lie, but that was cool too in the sense of me understanding Mike a little more too, me understanding how to go through like a COVID protocols, just playing in a COVID year. We'll never forget that. It's probably like a historic year just playing through COVID. Bro. But, you know, dealing with all those mentally, but then, you know, getting our first home playoff game. So
yeah, that was dope.
Seeing how we, you know, pushed through those last couple, I think it was like 2 months to actually secure that was cool too. And, you know, this year kind of building off the 2 years, I have a good understanding of who Mike is, the system, how he likes to play, who Enzo is, the captain, who Clay and other guys who've been here with me for this long.
Yeah.
I see it now and I understand. So when these new guys come in, ask me about the system, ask me about Mike, I have a clear understanding of what he likes to do and how he likes to play. So, I mean, not only that, but just the city in general, to see the city grow. I was in South End for 2 years, so that was cool. Now I actually just bought a house out here too earlier this year.
Congratulations, man.
I appreciate you, man. It's been a blessing out here. So
it is.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm glad you are, man. And I mean, like, it's kudos to you for your perseverance, bro. I mean, like, just everything that you've talked about, I love it. That's the reason, like, I love doing these podcasts, because people need to hear more stories of this, and like, you never know. One person can get inspired by what you say and change a generation, man.
Exactly what I want to. And That's why I commend you for this show exactly, and that's why I kind of started my show, because people, especially for soccer here in this country, no one really hears these stories, especially USL players. Even MLS players, there's still not enough stories out there.
Exactly, yeah.
So I love this.
So tell us about your podcast, man. I'm interested. What kind of spurred that for you?
Yeah, so I started my podcast, Backyard Footy, in 2018, but I actually had my ideas for it in 2017.
Okay.
So I was out in Philly, just sitting on my couch. We all watch ESPN.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these guys.
Man, these couch sessions of yours really changed your life.
Changed my life.
You got to make like a quick episode called Couch Confessions with Hugh.
You know what? I'm writing that down. I might have to. But these couch sessions, really, man, really. I'm just sitting on my couch watching ESPN. We all watch ESPN. I'm like, these expert analysts never talk about soccer. Gold Cup could happen. Everything could happen. They just never. 17 Gold Cup did happen, I think, in Philly. Like,
I think you saw too the video of the guy who, like, what did he say? The U.S. won the World Cup.
Oh, it's just so terrible. It's exactly what I saw too. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, how can I do something that's feasible? Because people think because we're pros we get paid well. Like, nah. Even in the 8 years I'm here now, I'm still not. That's why I coach still on the side. But you still have to find almost like another income. I'm like, how can I do something but it's also feasible or reasonable? Podcasts, I think back then kind of just started. Like now it's taking off. But it really like just started. So I was like, let me just kind of like start a podcast. This then transpired in 2018. I'm in Pittsburgh. So my main thought was, I know this is my 5th year in the league. I know about at least one person on every single team on the East Coast. They all come to Pittsburgh at least one time. Back then you play in like everybody on the East Side. There's 4 divisions now, but you're playing everybody twice home and away. So like every time they come to see me, I'm going to get my boy to come to my couch just like this and interview him. So that's what the whole first year was, a bunch of USL players, a bunch of interviews on my couch in Pittsburgh, one-on-one stuff, but very good raw content. Loved it.
Love it.
Then I come to Charlotte, and like I said, that roster was very talented, like Dom Maduro, Abdullah playing the MLS, Zion Jones just came from Schalke, Nicky Jackson in the MLS, like Mark Hill played for Celtic, all these talented young kids. Even the goalkeeper played for Man City. My young Curtis played for Man City too, was there too. Like the talent was crazy. So I was able to help my pedigree a little bit too.
Yeah.
Having those guys on my show a bunch of times too. Then after that, last year with the whole movement and everything, I was like, why not I'm kind of tired of the same old interviews. Like it's time to actually like educate people a little more. Being a black guy in the sport, kind of being like a minority, there's not too many of us, especially like black Americans, not really like the international ones, but there's a lot of us that I knew, but we don't really talk about or hear about what we went through. So I got like 15 guys total from the MLS and USL together on like a Zoom. We talked about the struggles of being like black growing up playing in this country. We had 2 episodes of that, and after the second one, FC Cincinnati caught wind of Fatai, who was on my show, used to play for FC Cincinnati, and he was just like, FC Cincinnati put out statements against the racial abuse and everything, but then he's still getting hateful DMs and racist DMs from his own fans. So he's talking about that on my show. FC Cincinnati fans saw my show, caught wind of it, and they have a big fan base. Trended everywhere for that time. The owners saw it. After that, they donated $250,000 to local minority communities just based off my podcast episode. Still the biggest achievement, I think, till this day for me personally.
That's amazing, man. I mean, that's just shows you the power of everything that you're doing, the power of a dream, the power of execution, and the power of standing up and talking about what you believe in. You know what I'm saying?
And like you said earlier, just kind of just going out and do something.
Bro.
I've had this itching for a while now, but if I didn't act up on any of it and just was a normal athlete, and always every year like, man, I should have started this. Or now, knowing me, it would have been too late because I hate joining the bandwagon late. And it's just like, oh man, I'm too late. Okay, forget about it.
But you know what? Like I think like there's always an excuse not to do something.
Always.
You know what I'm saying?
Always.
Like, I mean, that's why I love telling people that all the time. Like when they have ideas, I'm like, bro, just go execute. I'm like, you know what? Who cares if you don't know what you're doing yet? You'll learn, you'll grow. Things will happen. Like never in my life I thought I'd have you here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you know what? True. I just did work, and I was like, you know what? Like let me keep doing stuff, and I'm gonna have success and I'm gonna have failures, and it's okay. You just have to do it.
Learn from it.
Right?
Exactly. And you're meeting people in contacts, and those contacts can maybe get you to where you want to be next.
Exactly.
At that point. So exactly why, after that kind of gave me more fuel to what I was doing. I created my own foundation, charity foundation. basically another company reached out to me about creating Black Lives Matter T-shirts, but it was Charlotte specific with the crown. So that's what started my foundation. And people were just hitting me up like, hey, we don't want to buy a T-shirt. We just want to donate money to you. So I was like, let me just create a GoFundMe too at the same time.
That's awesome, dude.
Raised close to like $4,000 in total. Had a couple charity events. I'm partnered with a couple charities locally right now. And that transpired to this year. We have like a breakfast program and a dinner program partnered with Food Line. We do twice a month with dinner with this charity company called Block Love Uptown, and we do it twice a month out there. But I never really could have imagined how things kind of transpired. And now I'm not saying I slowed down at all. My last like podcast itself was back in April with the District 1 council member. But Backyard Footy for me has always been an entertainment company. So visually, like I would love to start showing more highlights like behind the scenes in the locker room on game day. I'm sure you've seen some about IG posts. Like, that's what I envision Backyard Footy, where like I'm traveling to MLS camps, showing people behind the scenes on preseason practices, game. There's nothing like that. Interviews just like what you're doing, but maybe it's different where it's like at the player's crib or just something.
Or I mean, like I'm sure there's thousands of kids that would love to see that would love to see, what's going on. Look at these guys training. You know what I'm saying?
So now it's about Backyard Footy's kind of on right now. I'm actually partnered with like Free Range Brewery out here. I'm having a live podcast show tomorrow.
I love that.
Free, come through. Definitely free drinks and stuff. But now, kind of just growing that brand a little bit and keep that going.
I love that, man. I mean, you're making a difference on the pitch and off the field, bro.
Appreciate you.
I mean, like it's people like you that I think. I know this sounds corny, but like it just makes you believe more in humanity. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of great people out there, and if you're somebody that wants to do something, bro, just go for it. Who cares if you fail? Like, right? Like, even if you do, you're the only one that's gonna remember it, right?
Right.
Like, no, like most people don't care. Even if you do, like, say you fall and trip, right? And everybody sees that. An hour later, no one's gonna be thinking about that, right?
Come on, right? And it's almost like how do you bounce back? People. Yes, they laugh at you then, but if you bounce back harder, people are going to forget about that.
They'll respect you even more. We're like, dang, like this guy came.
That was him back then. Now look at him now. Completely agree with that.
Exactly, man. My last question then to you would be, what has soccer taught you about success?
Man, soccer taught me a lot about success, honestly. Of course, I kind of hit on, having your goal and dream from an early on to kind of motivate you, but soccer's taught me, you got to be able to adjust. My motto throughout this whole career and this process has been like, never panic, just adjust. So
I like that. Never panic, just adjust.
Just adjust. So again, you're going to wake up tomorrow. You have no idea what tomorrow's like. You think you have your schedule in place. Boom, all these things happening. Like, how do you react to that? On the field, you think your touch is A1, then all of a sudden you have a bad touch, and it's like, man, it can mess you up mentally for the rest of the game where you're scared to do passes now and all these things, but it's like, how do you adjust and bounce back from that? And so this grind, I've been through a lot of frustrations, and I still don't even know what tomorrow's going to be, or like this weekend's going to handle, right? Like every single game has been different. But how do you adjust in the middle of that game where it's like, okay, this player does this. I might have messed up this clearance, but okay, let me make sure I never do that again. Or in the middle of the game, it's like, man, I shouldn't have done that. Too much spin. Next pass going to be less spin. Boom, you have a success. But if you don't talk to yourself and figure these things out, you're just going to be kind of stagnant. And then I just feel like my game will kind of go down. But again, just being able to adjust is a big thing that soccer's taught me.
I love that, man. That is such solid advice, bro. Never panic, just adjust, man. You need to put that on a shirt too, bro. Man, for real.
That's two big no's right there. Yeah.
Now you got to go sit on the couch and
a couch stash, trust. A couch stash.
Nice, man.
Yes.
It was a pleasure having you on today, man. Thank you so much,
I
my man.
appreciate you, my man. It's been a great time.
Appreciate it, man.
No
Take
doubt.
care.